Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of Good Guys Sports Podcast. This week, joined by myself, your host, Blake Gerke, and also Jackson Gerke. And back from a big trip that we will discuss later is Mike Roby. And as well, we have Blake Lineberger joining us on today's episode. Today, we have a couple of sports topics to discuss per usual. We're in the week off before the Super Bowl, so we will not be doing our Super Bowl preview yet. That will be coming next Thursday. So tune in next Thursday to next week to hear our predictions for the big game. Instead, we're going to look back at what happened in the previous round, a little bit in the NFL, and we're also going to focus on a few of the NFL news items that have happened over the past couple weeks as well. Coaching hires, player rumor movement, draft position, things like that that we tend to see towards the end of the regular season as well. So, but I do want to start with it. Mike was off last week. We gave some predictions for the NFC title game last weekend. Some got them more correct than others. But it ended up being the Eagles advancing through the NFC, obviously, which wasn't a huge shock probably at the beginning of the season. But the huge shock in the NFC, obviously, was the Commanders having an excellent season led by a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, second pick in the draft, obviously. So expectations there. But certainly, we've been saying all year how nobody expected him to go this well, even leading his team to the NFC Championship game in his first season. So I'll start with you, Mike. Obviously, maybe bittersweet. You would have loved to obviously see your team advance to the Super Bowl, but obviously you have to look back at the season as massively successful, exceeding expectations, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were playing with house money the whole time, and the Commanders were the only visiting team to win any playoff game this year, and they won two,
It's a
one in
great stat.
Tampa and one in Detroit. Every other team that won a playoff game was a home team.
Oh wow, I didn't even think
Mm.
about that.
Mhm.
So, I think the Commanders got a lot to hold their head up high
Mm.
for that. But you can't turn the ball over four times and expect to win the NFC Championship. And I think that was the story with that. I mean, the Eagles' relentless defense, and of course, Barkley starting off and running 60 yards for a touchdown. He gained 118 yards for the entire game. You take that 60 out, and it might have been different. If you look at the time of possession, that's almost equal. I think the Eagles had the ball for maybe 32 seconds difference than the Commanders, but it was those four turnovers that really hurt. Now, I also thought it was a lot of fun when the Commanders defense was trying to stop the tush push. Got
Yeah.
flagged for being offsides three times in a
That was
row.
a
Yeah, I was
great
going to ask
moment.
you about that because watching it in watching it in real time that of that play in the fourth quarter, we were all watching it together in the couch and we're thinking to ourselves, what in the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Uh, of that play, like really of really on that defensive play in the red zone, like why would you even do that? Like that player just really just was out of his mind or something. Just he really just was like shot out of a cannon coming out of nowhere. Like what was he even thinking? Like to me, it's just really becoming a bit ridiculous and just really out of hand.
Yeah.
And the way I looked at it, but yeah, it's just a really
Well, he was
just
trying to time it.
just a silly
Uh,
play, Mike.
oh, absolutely. But you got to do something with trying to defend against the tush push. I mean, I give my hats off to him to trying trying something. But the other play on the Commanders plus side was the fake punt and Way throwing the ball for 23 yards on a fourth down play and continuing the drive. I mean, all season, um, Dan Quinn has been rolling the dice and gambling on fourth down, and I think that's probably one of the changes that I maybe it was just me noticing it more and more this year, but a lot more teams seem to be going on fourth down.
Certainly the Lions
Where
and Commanders sort of leading the way on that charge, right?
hmm Yeah, yeah. Well, even the Bills and the Chiefs uh, went on fourth downs. So, but you know, uh you got to tip your cap to the Eagles. They were definitely was the better team that day. But I'm looking forward to next year. I think the whole DMV area is is really looking forward to another burgundy and gold season next fall. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. And Jackson, obviously, we know a little bit about DC sports too, as well, Mike being the expert. But it does seem like of all the DC sports teams, the Washington Commanders have probably the biggest fan base, but obviously the struggles with the team in the Dan Snyder area. It was a pretty frustrated fan base from what I can
hmm
tell. And so the fact that it didn't even take but a season to turn the fortunes around of the franchise
Yeah,
with a rookie quarterback, and you saw just watching the games and following online, seeing the reaction, he kind of revitalized the whole fan base pretty quickly, did Daniels.
yeah. No Daniel Snyder owned Washington team ever made the NFC Championship.
That's crazy as well.
That's
And he's owned the
really
team
really is.
for what, over when did he buy the team? 20
And
years?
yeah, well, over that, he bought him in the late 90s. I always said we were one owner away from a championship. I think I was right.
Yeah, no, that's certainly crazy how quickly of
So
a
really, the
turnaround it
very
was.
first the first full year that Josh Allen and the cohorts, including Magic Johnson, owned the Commanders, they went to the NFC Championship. I
It's
mean,
crazy. Yeah,
last year they owned it, but they didn't get ownership until August,
right.
until after this training camp was already in session. So they kept everything intact. But last year was the first full year, first full cycle. Changed the head coach. Dan Quinn brought in a whole completely different culture set, and that was exciting. That's really what got the DMV behind it.
Certainly. Yeah,
Of course, winning helps.
that too. That too. Jackson, you must have been pretty surprised at how quickly Jane Daniels was able to turn this Commanders team around, right? I mean, we had a lot of rookie quarterbacks come into the league this year. Some performed well, some didn't, but the fact that he was able to lead his team to a conference championship in his first season is pretty impressive. Probably better than you thought he would do, right?
No, without question. I mean, listen, Jane Daniels has really improved and really took his team to really what nobody have ever predicted or for made it all for this for him coming is to make it this far is really remarkable to me. The way that he's played for one of his for what was is for one of his postseason magical season he has is what they know for Uncle Mike, that you can relate to this, known as the cardiac commanders, which really went on this magical carpet ride run, which I've always said on the show, and this magical run that they've been dominating in. And yeah, really, when I really, I know that this Sunday wasn't the way that they really thought the result that they were looking for, the way that was turned out. But I know they got beat by a better team against the Eagles. But you got to be very proud that this team, that the Commanders and the team of of the new ownership with Dan Snyder no longer in charge of the team with Josh Harris and along with along with Josh Harris and Adam Peters, which somehow turned this franchise around. Which Adam Peters, if you recall, has been part of winning teams and cultures in the NFL before with the 49ers Niners with Kyle Shanahan and with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in the Patriots all these years ago. So they do have a winning formula before, and really in large part of how they really change the culture of the new ownership, and really how I see it is really is a clean house and a new ownership, and really the change of the franchise and the ownership, and changing it from the third for the third team name, and really just and really just really becoming and really becoming a building a culture and turning it around in winning ways, and just really making this far. And and if you think about it, back in the year 1992, the last time they won Super Bowl, although they didn't make it this far, but you got to be very proud that that you got to believe if you're a Commanders fan, that you finally got the quarterback right, and the coaching staff with Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn have finally got the pieces in place for this Commanders team. That unlike what other other teams in the league are doing when it comes to those rebuilds and wearing paper bags, which the Commanders were. In the past when they had losing seasons previously prior to the ownership change, in the days of Dan Snyder, which was very dark times for Washington Burgundy and Gold fans, which isn't the case anymore, because thanks in large part to the change of Jane Daniels and their quarterback and their coaching staff, and really has turned this thing around. And now they're about to build a stadium, possibly, possibly a demolition of the RFK Stadium, and in place of the new one up in the district sometime in early 2030. So lots to be excited and proud about for the bright future ahead for those who are fans of the Burgundy and Gold, and for Commanders fans and all BC out there for sure, Mike.
Yeah, certainly. And Jackson, you made a good point there is the hardest thing probably to do in the NFL is to find that right combination of quarterback, coach, and coordinator, the QCC, I'll call it, right? So finding that trio, and you might have one piece, but the other ones don't exactly fit. And the fact that they were able to find that so quickly with the rookie, and obviously bring in a guy with experience like Dan Quinn, and then as well, you're right to mention Kingsbury coming in on the offensive side of the ball, really working well with Daniels. So I think that's something that a lot of the other rookie quarterbacks this year struggled with, is maybe they had a Caleb Williams or a Drake May, had flashes of obviously the talent that we know they have, but whether it was possibly poor coaching from the head coach or the coordinator not really utilizing their skills in the best way, or the team just overall not being good enough, we certainly saw some struggles. So, yeah, I think obviously now that the season's over, we can look back at the draft and say, well, maybe the Bears were wrong to take Williams over Daniels, right? And not a lot of people, I think probably in the draft process, if we go back and look at our tape from April, I think most of us were in agreement that Daniels was close to the status of Caleb Williams, but the Bears made the right pick there. And it's still early to say that the Bears made the wrong pick, obviously. And one of the coaching news that we had after the season was obviously the Bears bringing in a new coach, Ben Johnson from the Lions, offensive guru, as he's known, very well sought after. So that kind of goes to what I was talking about with pairing your quarterback with an offensive mind, whether it's coach or coordinator, and trying to get the best of him. So it seems like Chicago came to the realization that they probably didn't put Caleb Williams in the best position. And at the same time, Caleb Williams would probably admit himself that he still has a lot of development to do, and of course, Jaden Daniels does too. We
Yeah.
can't sit here and crown him the next Bart Starr, you know?
Well, another rookie quarterback that kind of gone under the radar is Bo Nix.
Right? You could
I
argue
think he was like a
he had
10th
yeah,
round or so, a 10th pick overall. I mean,
good
uh,
season, yeah,
he had
playoff.
a great season.
Yeah, of the five quarterbacks drafted in the first round, you could
Hmm.
argue Bo Nix probably had the second best season behind Daniels. If you look at the
Yeah,
numbers and you look at the fact that he led his team to the postseason, right?
yeah. I mean, at a 93.3 quarterback rating, he actually had more yards than more passing yards than Daniels,
Right.
but a lower percentage of completions. But even still, he far exceeded Caleb Williams as far as stats.
No, absolutely. And I think that also goes back to pairing a rookie quarterback with the right team and the right coach. Sean
Hmm.
Payton is a proven NFL coach. He works with a lot of players, offensive and defensive.
Yeah,
So that was a good situation to walk into
yeah.
as well.
I mean,
Jackson, do you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, you probably could say that one of the reasons why Johnson went to the Bears instead of another team was because they got Caleb Williams.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Jack,
Yeah.
did you like that hire in Chicago? Ben Johnson going. He's staying in his own division as well, right? It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, he is. That part I find interesting. I mean, I don't know if I'm buying it, but really going up against you are going up against a you're going up against Green Bay and Minnesota. Who knows if they get their quarterback JJ McCarthy back full and healthy for next season. But yeah, it's going to be a tough decision. But maybe something tells me that Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson and this relationship that they're about to have. Maybe that's something that the fans up in Chicago, up in the really up in the midway, are just trying to see if it's something that they can build on and for the future and possibly for those fans up there up there in the Windy City. But who knows? I don't know if I'm really buying it, but it is something to really keep our eye on and hopefully for maybe for the Commanders did from what they had from what they've went on a run late in the season. Maybe the Bears can do the same with their new coaching hire. But I'm not getting ahead of myself. But only time will tell. But who knows? Maybe Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson will have a great relationship. But between one or another. But yeah. It's quite the hire, but not sure. Not really sure what's going to happen between now and the start of next season.
Yeah, I wanted to also touch upon a couple other coaching hires, but before we do that, I think we should probably do a quick recap of what happened on the AFC side. Obviously, we know Patrick Mahomes will be going to his third straight Super Bowl. We'll do the preview next week, don't worry. But I want to do a bit of a sayonara or whatever the word is, a post-mortem for the Buffalo Bills because I do think they deserve a mention for how close they've gotten to beating Patrick Mahomes going to Super Bowl, but unfortunately coming up short. Something the Bills fans are obviously probably used to in their history, unfortunately for them. But you have to say overall, Josh Allen had a heck of a year, similar to Lamar Jackson. I think he's just a bit unlucky to play in the AFC against the Chiefs. You know, is it as simple as that?
I don't know. We'll
Yeah. I think it is, Blake. I mean, think about it. They were unable to capitalize on the big plays. I mean, you and I were watching the games on this past Sunday, yelling and screaming in front of the TV together with the whole family. And one thing, and there were some plays that we can all, you know, that we can all say, that we can all disagree and agree on. But really, it was those fourth down plays that they weren't able to capitalize on. And that's really what cost them the game. And and yeah, they are winless on the road. They cannot go to Arrowhead against this tough environment crowd. And the Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, just played it very well. And Patrick Mahomes just really won this game by using his legs and really just made the big plays. And Chris Jones on the defense side of the ball were all over Allen, and that's really what cost them the game. And how they're still winless against the Chiefs. And really, him and Tom Brady are really playing at a capable same type of level, and that's really what Josh Allen and those Bills just had to deal with is those big plays and that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and really Mahomes' weapons and those guys just make some great reads, and that's just really and that's why the Chiefs are and that's why the Chiefs won and are about and are in the Super Bowl and about to be doing the unpredictable and unpredicted that no other NFL team has ever done, which is a three-peat. That's which is hard to believe, but they're in it, and they're going to be facing the Eagles two Sundays from now. It'll be the rematch of from
Hey, no Super Bowl talk.
Yeah,
Just that's for next week. Don't forget.
yeah.
I know, but I know. Yeah, sorry, but anyway, that's who they're going to face up against, Blake. Like you said, no Super Bowl talk. We will see that thought for next week, but that's who they're going to be playing against. We'll see. Well, um,
I think
we
there was two pivotal, pivotable plays in the fourth quarter. If Dalton Kincaid had caught that ball on fourth down,
Yeah,
and I think 9 times out of 10 he's going to catch it.
right.
There would have been it would have been a different game. And then the other um, play was the 3rd and 9 throw when Mahomes threw it to one of his running backs that gained 17 yards that then allowed the Chiefs to run the clock out. He defeated the man-to-man coverage that the Bills were in by just throwing to the running back. So I think those were two important plays.
Yeah, and it's a familiar story we've seen obviously with those two teams playing each other late into the into the postseason where Mahomes obviously just makes big plays against Buffalo.
Hmm.
Josh Allen, he does the same. I mean, you can't say that he had a particularly bad game, but it just comes down to, having the ball last, you know, getting the ball away from the other guy, right? Because,
Yeah.
like I said, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. I mean, all these guys are, amazing quarterbacks. They all play in the AFC, so one of them has to win, right? So it comes down to the very fine margin, doesn't it, in these matchups that we've seen the past couple seasons in the AFC in particular. So, yep, our commiserations to Bills fans again, but there's always next year, and I'm sure they'll be there or thereabouts next year in the AFC as well. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry
you
I didn't get ahead of myself, Blake, but I just realized that that's who they're going up against from the rematch from 3 years ago. But like you said, Blake, we'll see that thought for next week. And I know the pain of Bills fans of of how they made it this far, and yet you cannot beat Mahomes. Well, him and Brady and Elway and those guys, I mean, it's hard to believe because he has become their Michael Jordan of football, and if the Chiefs were able to do it 2 Sundays from now, which I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but they would join the Lakers as the latest professional sports North American team, to be the latest as a repeat in the days of Kobe, who did it back in the early 2000s. So lots of stakes to be said for two Sundays from now that we'll talk about on this time for our show next week that we can save our thought with. Lots to be looking forward to for what the Super Bowl has in store for us 2 Sundays from now, Blake.
well, guys, I got a couple of things. Mike, I feel bad for you. I'm sorry. I called the Philly. I'm sorry. I called your Washington Commanders losing. I was 3 for 3 on the Commanders calls. So sorry about that. I don't know if that had any impact on the game, but you're right. Those mistakes. I mean, they were in it, and they would make a mistake and bounce back. That was the crazy part is they would, turn it over, but then bounce back, and they just kept making too many. To your point about the end zone and the tush push, Rule 11, Section 2, Clause 5. The referee can award a touchdown to a team that has been denied one by the palpably unfair act. So what a fun little rule. So the threat was at some point, even if they didn't score, he could just stop the play and award the other team a touchdown. I thought that was a rule I never heard of. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen that called?
It's never been called. I don't believe it's ever been called in a game.
So it's more of a warning, I guess,
Yeah.
realistically.
But it is a rule in the rule book.
I believe that player name was called Echo or Miko on the defensive player for the Commanders. If I'm mistaken, who that's who got called.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, that was something we should have mentioned. Yeah, that was something I've never seen that kind of thing before where it basically just seemed like the referees got so fed up with them. They just said, if you do that
Hmm.
one more time, we're giving the Eagles 6 points, so you better knock it off. It was more of
Yeah.
a slap on the wrist, huh?
Which, well, they were going to score anyway. So, that's why I say you got to hand it to the Commanders for doing everything they could to try to prevent it. But,
Indeed, indeed.
but
Mike,
they're talking about the timing and getting off sides. Well, stop the hard count on the tush push.
hmm
You know,
Mike, are you now an Eagles fan? Are DC did they just turn into Eagles fans?
no,
Oh, interesting.
no,
Okay.
no. That would be like Washington being a Dallas fan.
Okay.
Yeah, no, definitely, certainly no love lost in that rivalry in the NFC East for sure. So speaking of the East, there's a different division, the AFC East, that has a new head coach hire,
Hmm.
Jackson. I figure we should mention a couple of the new coaches that we'll be seeing in the NFL next year. And the boys from Beantown, the old Patriots, they went one and done with Gerard Mayo, and they've got a new coach this year. Isn't that right, Jack?
That's right. They have hired um, former Patriot player and veteran Mike Vrabel, who is the beloved player with this franchise for all these titles years ago that he won with Tom Brady, who was beloved, and for the fans up in New England, who has been who has been a part of the franchise and beloved for the fans of New England and throughout. And that's really, and he will be the new head coach of the Patriots, and and really the fans should be really excited for. And yeah, you're definitely not going to be, and yeah, you definitely have to deal with Josh Allen in that division, but the fans in New England should be very excited and proud about, even though their last their last firing for where the tough decisions Robert Kraft had made. Hopefully he gets this one right, and I really hope those fans up in New England really really get it right than the last mistake they made last time around when they fired Mayo. But I sure hope that the fans up in New England and in Foxborough and throughout get this one right, and hopefully not lose a lot of games like they did last season, and and hopefully, and then maybe if that's the case, then who knows? Then maybe they can build a winning season for winning culture. They may not be perfect, but if they get it right, then if they have a great season, then great. But if they don't, then yeah, they're going to have to go for their coaching change again. But let's hope they get this one right, because I think the fans in New England are really going to are really going to pay and respect and really enjoy Mike Vrabel as their head coach.
Yeah, for sure. And certainly the development of Drake May is going to be the main key there. Obviously, New England, they think they have the next great quarterback prospect. So Obviously, getting everything in line to give him the best opportunity to win will be important. But yeah, no, I personally think it's a good hire as well. Obviously, he mentioned he played for the team. He's familiar with the franchise, and I think he did a really good job in Tennessee, kind of given the resources that he had, right? I mean, he had
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill had a couple of good years. I mean, he's certainly not Joe Montana, is he? And so the fact that he was
No.
able to get that Titans team. They even finished one season as a number one seed in the AFC. Obviously, they didn't. He never won the AFC or anything like that with them, but the fact that he was able to kind of get that team competing year after year, I think he's a good coach, and I think it's a good hire personally.
Yeah, as a side note, he's hired one of the defensive coaches away from the Bills, Scott Booker.
There you go. There you go.
And
He's
also don't forget, Mike. Don't forget, Mike. They also brought back Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. So there's definitely a reunion coming for those fans up in New England that they're going to really love and enjoy. And the only thing better that they would really love to have back is I wish it were to happen, but it's too late now. Is bring back Bill Belichick, which that would be really nice for those fans that they could really feel better about. But again, it's not going to happen because he's still called. It's not going to happen it's it's still called Chapel Bill for a reason. So they're going to have to get sticks. You're going to have to you're going to have to be because those fans are going to have to stuck and get used to it. Unfortunately, that they won't get their wish, but that's the reality for you.
Indeed, indeed. We'll get to Chapel Bill here in a second, but a couple other interesting hires. I saw recently Pete Carroll back in the NFL.
Yeah. So how long has he been out of the NFL?
He has only been out for one year. So
Okay.
the Seahawks coach that took over for him. This was his first year.
Hmm.
So he basically just took a year out. But obviously he got a bit of the restlessness. So
Yeah.
he's back in pretty quick. Obviously, he's a bit older. I think he's the oldest coach in the NFL now.
Yeah.
But he's obviously got a lot of experience of building up a team, and the Raiders need all the help they can get. So, and they'll
Yeah.
obviously be looking to probably get a new quarterback in as well, right?
Yeah. Rumor has it Russell Wilson might be going to the Raiders.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I know it's an interesting one because you would think they spent a lot of time together in Seattle. I don't know if when Russell left Seattle, if it was on the best terms. I'm sure they probably have patched it up at this point, but that could be a savvy sort of veteran pickup if what I latest I've heard from Pittsburgh is that they're probably going to only bring back one of the two of Fields and
Hmm.
Wilson. So
Yeah.
that would make
The
sense on paper, yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably bring back the younger one to the Steelers, so that would be not Wilson.
Right. No, I think yeah, that could be an interesting dynamic there in Vegas.
Yeah, that another I haven't heard any rumors, but Marcus Mariota with the Commanders' second string quarterback might be another one for the Raiders.
For sure, yeah. And also probably the other quarterback on the market would be Darnold if he doesn't return to Minnesota, right?
Yeah, and he had a tremendous year this year.
14 wins.
Yeah, I mean you can't go wrong with that.
You can't sniff at that, can you?
Of course, the Falcons would like to probably trade uh, Captain Kirk.
I think there would be a market from some teams for
Hmm.
for for Captain Kirk for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Penix has he has a way to go. He only played 5 games,
Right. So it just
so
depends if you want to just
yeah.
go all in on him, right?
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
certainly some interesting quarterbacks available out there. Um, I think the other interesting, I know the Cowboys ended up parting ways with Mike McCarthy and
Hmm.
promoting Schottenheimer. Kind of an
Yeah.
interesting hire, no?
Yeah. Well, you don't have Coach Prime in Dallas because
Not yet,
Brian
anyways.
Brian Schottenheimer will be in there.
Not yet. I know a lot of people kind of had question marks about that. Maybe that was just Jerry Jones being a bit cheap and hiring
Hmm.
somebody from within and not renewing a contract of
Yeah.
somebody. So
What do you think of the Jaguars new coach?
down there in Duval, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Duval County, huh?
It's an interesting one, Jack, because I know he came from the OC from the Buccaneers, and at one point it looked like he was going to return back to the Buccaneers, and then all of a sudden the Jaguars made an improved offer, and then all of a sudden they couldn't get Liam Cohen on the phone. So in the end, he ends up in as a head coach of the Jaguars after some deliberation. But I don't know, Jack, what do you make of that hire?
I mean, I find that hire to be confusing because nobody thought he was going to stay as a head coach in his position where he's at, but currently, but nobody even thought he would take this hiring of this job, but I didn't really think he would really take it until he did, but I'm not really surprised about it, but to me, I just didn't think it would happen, but it did for the most part, and I just had no idea if it was going to happen, but then again, it happened, so I just had no idea. But what do you expect? He just made the hire, and I just didn't really
Yeah, he's got a good
think of it
reputation.
coming.
He was part of the success that Baker had in Tampa. Baker put up really good numbers in Tampa recently. He's certainly been part of that going forward. So yeah, it was interesting that might strengthen whatever Tampa Jacksonville rivalry they have there with him being poached on interesting terms there for sure. So yeah, definitely some interesting coaching and player movement so far.
Pretty excited about the Dallas hire in the terms that I'm glad this looks like it signals Dion staying in Colorado. Not really as concerned with Dallas, but I really like what he's doing in Colorado. He said he loved it. It looks like that might be true. I honestly thought he might go to Dallas, but super excited to see what he can keep doing at Colorado. So that's a plus for me.
I agree. I think he's best served staying in the college game and developing as a coach. Obviously it's probably tempting for him to try to jump out to a team that his son gets picked to, and sort of, jump into the NFL. Obviously it's very exciting, but I think that's something he's got a lot of work to do in Colorado, and obviously they had a good season this past year, but yeah, I think he still has something to prove in terms of the coaching. Obviously, he brings a lot of headlines, so I'm sure he'll get his opportunity at a big job, whether it's college or pros soon. But yeah, I think staying in Boulder for another year would serve Dion well. And I'm sure we'll talk about the two Buffaloes in the draft, Hunter and Sanders, once we get it more into the draft season. But I wanted to pivot from football to a little bit of a preview for a game taking place on Saturday. Not a football game, but a little
Oh,
game on Tobacco Road.
yeah, we'll talk a lot about that, and then we'll yes, and then we'll also talk about the Pro Bowl skill showdowns that's happening tonight. So we'll talk a little bit about that as
Mm,
well. So
maybe, but I want to talk about the Tobacco Road game on Saturday, Jack. A massive one, obviously. As we know, being in the area, Duke UNC. This will be the first game that Cooper Flagg plays against North Carolina. Any great Duke player wants to show out and perform against the biggest rivals. Obviously, the game will be taking place at Duke in Durham at Cameron Indoor, and you
And
have to.
so will college game day
College game day will be
will
there.
be.
It'll be a very exciting atmosphere all around, for sure, to witness Cooper Flagg's first game against UNC, a Duke team that's certainly been coming on very strong recently. They've played excellent so far in the ACC,
Mhm.
undefeated so far. They started out the season. Obviously, you play some of your tougher non-conference games to start
Yeah.
out, and then you
They're on a
eventually go in.
14 game winning streak.
It's been really exciting watching this team come together. I think we had touched upon this Duke season preview a while back, and I think a lot of the predictions that we thought were going to happen have happened. Obviously, Cooper's been incredible.
Hey Blake, I
Yeah.
heard they're not going to raise the banner; they're going to raise the flags now.
There's
How do you know about that?
the flags are all over the place, man. Yeah, it's Cooper Flag Day for sure, and this team has been playing excellent
Yeah.
basketball. So many contributors, not just Cooper as well, and there's been so many standout performers so far.
Did you see the play, the heads up play that that was it
Con Knipple, yeah,
Knipple?
he pulled his leg, yeah.
He pulled Proctor's leg to prevent Proctor from going out of bounds.
That was a great play.
I mean,
Great heads up IQ basketball, huh?
yeah, I've never seen that. That was a great play.
I think Con Knipple's been really great. I mean, obviously it's hard to sometimes you get outshone by the big
Hmm.
player, but he's been excellent. Some of the older veteran grad transfer guys have been playing really well. Good mixture of youth and experience. You have to say so far, Jack, that Duke's been living up to the hype, and it's been a great season so far.
They have, and really, you think about it, on this run that they've made so far in the ACC. Well, really, it's really they have been showing up and living in every play where it matters as a number one, two ranked team in the country, behind only Auburn, who is ranked number one in all of college basketball right now. Hard to believe that the SEC so far is the dominant league in college basketball. But besides of that, Duke, believe it or not, is the only ACC team that is ranked right now. Hard to believe as one of the top 10 teams right now. It's just really hard to believe. It's really mind blowing because UNC and Wake and State are not even ranked, but Duke is. It's just really hard to believe. So really, if you think about it, Duke is an 9.6 favorite to win that game, but really, as Jay Billis would always say, the Duke UNC game always delivers, and that's really always the case. So to me, when I look at this matchup, I'm going up against you're going up against RJ Davis, who is having a good solid year, but not as great as Cooper Flag is. But the players going up against points, but in rebounds, you got Seth Tramble from UNC, and going against Cooper Flag, who leads in both points and rebounds and assists overall, and going up against Ewok Rodrigo against UNC. But Cooper Flag leads the Blue Devils in all of those categories. So whenever I look at this Blue Devils team, it is led by this one player, and that is Cooper Flag, along with of course along with of course the along with of course the other players too. Along with the other players, of course too. So
Yeah,
Mason
no,
Gill, who the
he's
player
been
that my
great.
dad, yeah, right, yeah, exactly, who the player that my dad has has did has really did a contract with the sportswear brands for his company, and that's really how well they've been playing this season, really, and so far Duke's just off to a great start.
Yeah, check out our YouTube channel for a short featuring Mason Gillis as well. Yeah, he's had a great season so far.
Well, who would have thought that UNC would be 13-9?
Mm.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess on paper it's like that doesn't sound like a terrible record, but obviously for their own standards, you have to say they've been
they're
struggling.
6-4 in the conference and
It's not
13 and
great.
Well,
9 overall. I mean, that's for anybody, that's not that great of a season. It's kind of,
No, it's not.
you know, so, but I mean, if they I don't think they'll beat Duke, but if they do beat Duke, this would help turn things around for them.
Well, you know, it's
it's the tale of two assistant coach hires as head coach. One's going really well, and one not so much.
with Davis, Hubert
Yeah,
Davis. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
no, it's true. Yeah, and obviously, I guess I don't know how good of a recruiting class UNC had, but it kind of seems like in with today's college landscape, we mentioned it a bunch. But I think particularly in basketball because the turnover is high, players leaving after 1 year, getting that mixture of a couple of top recruits and then combining them with a couple of really good grad transfer students as well is really kind of like the best way to have a complete full roster. That's what I think a lot of the top teams have been doing in terms of roster construction so far. But with this rivalry, you certainly can't rule anything out. This is obviously the game. No matter the records, both teams would be getting up for sure. So
Well,
um,
to be fair, Flag came ready to play. I don't think I've ever seen somebody come as what an 18 or 19-year-old freshman so ready to play and compete at a
oh yeah.
at a high level. But then you got to think also he's competing against other 18 and 19-year-olds. Is he for sure going to leave? They have enough money to keep him there. I mean, that's the cool thing about one of the cool things about NIL is they have the money to keep him there. He can make more than he can make in the NBA. If I mean, is there any shot he stays?
If it was a different era, I think he probably would have been, a 2 or 3 year player. But I just think in the current way that college basketball NBA pipeline is set up, it's all the best players would only stay for 1 year, unfortunately. So maybe if Coach K was there or there was other external factors, he would end up staying. But he's going to be the number one pick pretty much no matter what. So in those circumstances, 99% of players are going to leave
Now,
after.
Blake, the salary, the fair market price would be a little north of 7 million for 1 year because of the BYU player. Do you
Right.
think that would entice him? I mean, come on,
I think
eight
I think
million
for
a year to
certain
stay.
certain certain players, but I think for the top prospects, someone like Flag, that I mean, you kind of know that you're going to be getting a big rookie contract and get drafted in the top five. Probably I mean, he probably knows he's going to be way up there. I think it's not going to be too much of a financial gamble for him, really. He pretty much knows his draft status, obviously, and I think in the other scenario, he would just gone straight to the NBA or done like a development year or something as well, which kind of is in a way. So, yeah, I think certain players definitely see that financial incentive, and I think honestly that applies to a lot of the graduate transfer students that have extra eligibility. Is otherwise they would just be not playing basketball at all or trying to make it in like a European league. But to your point, a lot of these NIL collectives and for the bigger schools are able to kind of entice some of these players to use an extra year of eligibility and become part of a greater team. Some of these blue blood schools, right? So that's certainly
All
part
right,
of it.
Blake. So we have a little bit of time left. So why don't we talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl skill showdowns
All right, if we have to. I know you really want
tonight?
to.
Yes, of course I do. And you think about it, it's one of the NFL Pro Bowl events that occurs the day before Sunday, and 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 really when I think of the Pro Bowl skills showdown, it reminds me of your kid, your elementary school's kids field day, kind of like what I did when I was little, and really that's what I think of it. With all of those fun and games that they have going on, whether it's the pass production, splash and catch, and high stakes, thrill of the spill, longest ride, which really is a what they would call a top golf like golf kind of play that the players would do, and then of course everyone's favorite dodgeball, and of course best catch too. So really, really, the Pro Bowl skill showdowns reminds me a lot of that during my time in elementary school as a kid, and that's what it reminds me of. And then of course we got the Pro Bowl skills showdown game on Sunday going up against with Peyton with Peyton and Eli and and the Eli brothers going at it between both conferences, and so really it's Peyton and Eli Manning going right at it for another year, and that should be a lot of exciting fun. And I know that the Pro Bowl games was in Las Vegas 2 years ago, but now it's been shipped down to Orlando, down down at Camping World Stadium, and of course in Orlando where it's taking place this year. But it used to be in Vegas prior to that 2 years ago. But now it's really it's just a bunch of players just just having a great time. Just don't really care about the score or who's in it. It's just really about having a great time. Really just making new friends and just soaking it all in. That's what really the Pro Bowl games is really all about. A bunch of like fun games and activities and some new
Hey Jackson,
this year. So really, it's just a lot of fun. And Blake, let me ask you before you ask me a question: will any of you watch any of the Pro Bowl coverage at all this week?
only I'm interested in two things. The dodgeball game should be the marquee event. Watching those athletic players play dodgeball, it should be on the main ESPN. And the football drop from the drone. I'm not sure if they're doing that anymore, but that was fascinating. Go up
Oh
10,
yeah, that's the best.
15 more feet and drop the football from the drone. Those two things, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt, Blake. It should really it should really. I know they used to do that, but I don't think they do it anymore. But yeah, Blake, I agree. They should
What about
really bring it
dodgeball?
back, and really the fans should really be happy about it and just live for it and really enjoy it and really soak it all in. They're all in it, Blake. I
Well, the
agree. I
dodgeball is
agree.
supposed to be fun.
They should bring it back.
The dodgeball was supposed to be fun, but I think they got a little competitive playing dodgeball. That got kind of serious quick.
Those balls can go pretty quick, and those
Yeah.
if you got some momentum behind it for sure, yeah.
Blake, are you not going to talk about the big game this week?
Ooh, the big game.
There- The
Which
biggest game this week, probably in the country, maybe the world, is Charlotte FC will be traveling to your city of Raleigh
that's
on
right, that's right.
Wednesday to play Carolina FC.
A nice little preseason fixture, right? Get
So
the
hopefully you go there and hopefully we can all hang out. Jackson, show up. I'll be there. Maybe we can meet Christian. He will not be playing, but maybe we can say hey to Christian and cheer him on.
I would
yeah.
love that.
Let's
I
do it
know that Blake and Dad and I were talking about it the other night. But I know that brother Blake and my dad and I were talking about this the other night and thought about it. And yeah, I think we should really go and just really experience it with the whole family. Maybe my dad and my brother and I will go and make it all happen.
for sure, for sure. MLS season is kicking off soon, right? So I think
Yep.
it's end of I guess in Feb they get going, right? Towards the end of February. So it's certainly coming up, MLS.
Yeah, well, in 2 weeks, pitchers and catchers report.
Oh boy.
Oh,
I
I
knew
knew
it.
that
I
was
knew it,
coming.
Mike.
It's that time of year. Everyone starts shaking the cobwebs off.
Mike, Sarasota, home of the Atlanta Braves in the airport. Very proud of it. They have it all over the airport.
Yeah,
SRQ, that the first time I've ever seen somebody walk around with an airport coat on a really nice sweater. Very proud of Sarasota. I didn't know that's where the Braves were, so that's fun. I have to go back
yeah,
down.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be getting into the pitchers and catchers in no time. I think, Jack, before we close, we just had one more little bonus topic that we wanted to discuss. Obviously, Mike was out last week, and that is because he was skiing, which
Oh
we are
yeah.
good guys sports, so we are under the umbrella of all sports, skiing included. So we just wanted to know, Mike, how your skiing went, and any tips and tricks for any potential skiers out there as well.
Well, we went to Wolf Creek, Colorado, a great ski area. There was no lift lines. The snow was incredible. The Friday we were skiing, it was clear skies. It was 20 degrees, but uh, the conditions were excellent. Couldn't have been better. I pretty much stayed on the greens and some blues, which is at this stage about my speed. But just cruising, just get on those trails and cruise. My 9-year-old granddaughter, she is just she'll go down lickety split and get back on the lift before you know it. And my 12-year-old grandson, he was on a snowboard and he was doing well. Uh, Great fun. But Wolf Creek, Colorado, no lines. Of course,
Wow.
it's a place that they don't have any lodging slope side. So I think that kind of keeps the crowds down a little bit. But it was just beautiful.
You
Had
get
a
any snow, Mike?
fantastic time. Huh?
Get any snow?
We didn't get any snow, but we were driving up that last Thursday night, from Albuquerque. It's about a 3-hour drive. It was like 5 degrees when we got up there.
Wow.
But the navigation system took us on a country road or
Oh
a
boy.
county road that turned into a dirt road.
Oh boy.
And we're following a dirt road for about 20 miles.
You must have been using Apple Maps and not Waze.
Yeah, it was he was my son was driving his Expedition and was using Apple Maps.
That's always it. Got to use Waze or Google Maps.
Soon
There
as,
it is.
soon as it hit the dirt road, you hear this navigation says, "Welcome to Colorado."
Oh,
It's like, oh my God. But just had a blast.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a beautiful place to go skiing. So some
yeah.
of
Sounds like you had a great time on your fun vacation out there in Colorado, and it seems like you had a great time at this on your trip, regardless of what happened for your during your time that you got up there and on your way back. Regardless, you still had a great time, and we were definitely happy for you that you are able to get your time off of our sports show, and I appreciate it. And we're very happy for you, Mike, and I'm glad you were able to make it in there plenty of time despite the confusion of getting getting up there direction wise, like you said, Mike.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, I had a great time. I love skiing.
yes, I
Yes, yes, we
may or
do.
may not be skiing myself soon. So hopefully my trip goes as well as you are. I think you're probably a much better skier than me, Mike. So we'll see how that goes. I guess before we wrap up, Mike, we can also give you a little baseball news to whet your appetite. Where Max Scherzer heading to Toronto on a 1 year deal. So
Oh,
he's not done
okay.
yet. The Blue Jays are going to see if he's got a little bit of gas left in his tank. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll
Well,
see.
good for Max. I hope he does well.
There you go. There you
I
go.
hope he strikes out the Yankees.
That. How about that? Yeah, we'd love. I hope he gives. I was gonna say. I hope he gives. I forgot. Juan Soto isn't a Yankee anymore, so
No,
unlucky.
he's a
But
Met. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, oh yeah.
we'll have
Yeah.
plenty of baseball offseason news. I'm sure to recap once we get into that. So
Yeah.
into the springtime. All right, gentlemen. Well, I think that's a good place to end the show here. So I just want to say thank you to Jackson, Blake Lineberger, and Mike Roby for joining us. Another great week of Good Guys Sports. Obviously, there's no NFL game to watch on unless you're as big of a fan of the Pro Bowl as Jackson is. So um, then we
Oh, and also we got a few more minutes left and one more minute left to the show.
you
But
see that,
Blake
Jack?
Lumberger is giving me a view of the Vegas Strip on a nice
yeah, take it
sunny
Is
easy on
that
this.
afternoon
Allegiant?
there.
Can you see Allegiant? That's
Oh
Allegiant in the
yeah,
Yeah, oh
background.
yes, I can.
Yeah.
For those of you who are just watching on Big Guy Sports, that is
yeah.
Allegiant
Tune
Stadium.
into
That's
the
home of the
video.
Raiders,
Get a little Vegas preview.
and 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 the home of last year's Super Bowl, which the Chiefs won in an overtime thriller against the 49ers, which we all remember watching that too well, and that's Allegiant Stadium for you all on Good Guy Sports.
Vegas is crazy, Jack. If you think about it, what in the last 10 years, they have acquired and will acquire every major sports team. 10 years ago, they had zero. Now they have football, they have hockey, they are
And
getting baseball,
yeah, they're oh yeah.
and likely probably going to get an NBA team too. So,
And I know that LeBron James is in part of this conversations with the ownership group for a team in Vegas, which I know
yeah,
he is a part of. But yeah,
kind of crazy.
Vegas, Major League Baseball in Vegas. Uncle Mike should be very excited about it because he should maybe in his bucket list attend a baseball game there in 2028. But who knows? That's a whole conversation for another day. But yeah, you're right, Blake. Lots
I
of
will say
sports
this, Mike.
happening in Vegas.
I will say this, Mike. The Vegas A's, it makes sense. Aces, I
Yeah.
know the Aces name is
Aces.
taken, but the Vegas A's,
A's.
it does make sense.
Ace of
Yeah.
Spades.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, make sure you take it easy on the slots tonight, Blake,
Oh,
and
for sure, for
have
sure.
a good time in Vegas. Say hi to Pete Carroll if you run into him
It's
in the
five
casinos
on
as well.
red, 5 on black.
I heard all on black. Thanks, Mike. I'll go do it right now.
There you go.
All
Black for the
right, you go
Raiders,
do
right?
that.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. See you
All
All
guys.
right.
right. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
gentlemen. Bye.